Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Brandon again, and there's no better way to say this, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to even mouth it out, but I pulled something in my butt. And I think the only thing more embarrassing than that is the fact that if someone checks your browser history right now or watch history on YouTube, they'll see exactly what you've been watching. Naughty, naughty, naughty. But there's no better way to say it because that's exactly what happened last week. First day of the training week. Started off with my safety bar squats, as I always do. Started warming up, and, well, let's just cut to the clip and you can see exactly what happened. So there you go, that second rep, something didn't feel good in my butt. And I actually ended up limping away from the set, and I didn't know what was going on because I've never felt anything like that before, despite what you might have heard. So I did what any of us would do in that situation. I went on to Google and Googled pain in my butt, or my butt feels weird. And surprisingly enough, I got a lot of search results that weren't related to anything at all, and I kind of went down the rabbit hole, yada, yada, yada. 3 hours and some browsers later, I ended up at my self-diagnosed conclusion of pulling something around my coccyx. My coccyx? It's a really weird word when I first saw it. I hadn't really heard it called that before. I'm no anatomy major, but it looked like something that you might find on the ring from Lord of the Rings.
Lord, his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. One ring to rule them all.
But it is a coccyx, and I went ahead and looked up some stretching exercises. That's one of the things I do. When anything kind of feels weird or a little funny, I try to stretch it out and make it feel better, and that's exactly what I tried to do. And I say that because, again, even searching on YouTube for this, you get some pretty interesting results. In fact, there's some people out there that have coccyx dysfunction. Dysfunction, see? Got coccyx on the brain, what can I say? But this really funny video, the guy basically sticks his finger up this girl's butt for a little while. A little interesting, really educational, if you will. Or some other remedies of fixing it, which includes basically sitting on a can, which is also really interesting. So needless to say, those weren't very helpful, and I was just left to have that pulled muscle or strain in my coccyx region. So needless to say, I didn't end up training the rest of that day. Actually, I should say I did bench, but I didn't do any more of my safety bar squats for the day. The following day, I was supposed to do deadlifts. It still felt a little weird, so I tried to play things safe and I decided to take that day off as well. And then I was out of town for a couple of days in Nashville, Tennessee for work, and I wouldn't be able to train during that time. So I ended up just taking the entire week off. And that's kind of what spurred on that video from yesterday, talking about taking time off for training and not letting it really bother you, because in my younger days, I would have really let it bother me. But, you know, sometimes if your coccyx flares up, you have nothing better to do than to listen to it, because you don't want to double cross your coccyx. It'll come back to bite you in the butt. So it's been interesting because, again, it's never happened to me before, and I just don't like the word coccyx because it's really hard to say, especially when you're trying to do these impromptu YouTube videos and you have a word that you might stumble upon pretty easily. But oddly enough, coccyx just flows out of my mouth like it was natural. So it was an interesting learning experience for me. A better term is just like your tailbone, but definitely pulled something down there. Typical protocol for me, again, is I try to stretch it out, research a little bit about it. Self-diagnosing is never good, but the best thing I have found is just kind of back off of training and don't push it because you could potentially make it worse. I also usually try to do some heat or ice depending on the area and what feels good or bad necessarily. And also some rounds of ibuprofen a couple of times a day, usually like 1,600 milligrams of ibuprofen rounds. That's what I can handle, and that typically does the trick for me. And I can say this week I feel good. In fact, I safety bar squatted yesterday. I'm doing some deadlifts today, and since I'm talking about the coccyx and things in your butt, decided to go ahead and strap on, or strap up if you will, and things feel back to normal, which is good. So kind of trying to play it safe. I just thought it was an interesting story that I would share with you at my own expense. So hopefully you guys, you got something out of it. My butt, that is. In the meantime, as always, thanks so much for watching, and stay big.